We are slaying monsters.
Don't let the ghosts and the ghouls disturb you, darling.
Well, the day that we are recording this is actually World Hypnotism Day, Sunday, January 4th, 2026.
Has anybody been under hypnotism? Here?
So I have not, although when I was in high school, we went to the Ren Fair and we saw a hypnotist. And I was filming that day for my school, and when I got the footage back during the hypnotism, I saw a kid pass out in the crowd. Now, I don't know if he was hypnotized to pass out, but he passed out and fell down.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
That's cool. Was it hot that day?
Probably. It was like August in Pennsylvania, or early September in Pennsylvania, so probably, yeah.
What about you, Katie?
No. I've never been hypnotized. I've never even seen a hypnotist or as an act or anything like that. So, no. I find it a little weird. Maybe the closest thing is that in therapy once, I remember I did this cognitive behavioral thing where she was trying to you had to actually watch a machine that it made a sound or a dot moved. I only did it once, so I don't really remember. But the point was it was trying to distract your brain so that you actually felt your emotions. And then she would ask questions and say things and push that way. So I thought that was interesting. And I did think about the ways in which it might be similar to what people are trying to do with hypnotism. Obviously, with hypnotism, then they theoretically have control over your body, or they can tell you to do whatever. But I thought it was an interesting way to get you to surface other things besides your thoughts.
Yeah, that sounds like kind of a meditation type of thing where you're focusing on something else, allowing you to then also focus on your body or experience your body in a different way. That makes sense.
Yeah, kind of like that.
Mm-hmm. EJ, have you been hypnotized?
By a friend. You know how you have sleepovers and stuff. And except I was a kid and this person was an adult at the time. Because we had summer stock actors stay at our house.
Oh, yeah.
And so we would have, adults stay at our house who were very theatrical, a little bit more prone to, believe in stuff like that. And I was too, very much so. I very much believed in all of that stuff when I was a kid. So I totally got hypnotized a little bit, but it didn't really take. I mean, I wasn't under. It's very hard to, I don't know how anybody could get me under to do anything. I don't know. I don't think it actually works. So I think I'm probably like everybody else, but I definitely just let my mind lead me to see things that I conjured actively in my own brain. You know what I mean? She did not do that. I did it.
Well, that's what hypnotism is, though.
Well, then I can just do it on my own. I don't need I don't need somebody with a crystal then, telling me, you know what I mean? If it's just me meditating and having a fantasy in my mind, then I don't need anybody else.
But they lead you to a certain place, or they get you to focus on a certain thing.
But that's not hypnotism. That's just me saying, Katie, close your eyes and imagine a balloon.
But you're telling Katie to imagine the balloon. Maybe Katie wouldn't imagine the balloon without you.
Well, I'll give you another thing. My partner and I once watched a documentary. I think it was a French or Belgian documentary about this person who gets people to go somewhere else in their brain. It's for people who can't have anesthesia for surgery.
Mm-hmm.
And this person gets them to go somewhere else in their brain and kind of leave their body so that they can have surgery with less or almost no pain. And it actually fucking works.
That's cool.
Yeah. And she leads them not to the place, they pick the place, but she leads them there and gets them to go there and then sits with them the whole time, like while they're in surgery or whatever, and helps them. But
It's awesome.
wild. I wouldn't have believed it if I hadn't, like, they had a camera. Like, you watch it and the person just reports, like, yep. And then she'll be like, okay, you can come back now.
That's
Okay,
come back?
I got to see that documentary. That's
Yeah.
amazing. That's really cool.
Yeah, it was really, really cool. So, I mean, is that hypnotism? I don't think so, because again, I feel like hypnotism is like that person then has control over you, but your brain can do amazing things, I think, is maybe more the point.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know how to lead into this, but we are going to do an episode. And so
We
we
have
are.
hypnotized the audience.
Yeah.
And now.
I'm going to hypnotize the audience into believing that I'm good at this. So we're slaying monsters. We got Maddie J.
Hey.
We got Katie.
Hello.
And I'm EJ, and we are going to talk about sewer monsters.
Yes, we are going down into the depths of the sewers for a couple of weeks. Yes, indeed.
Which is probably not where you're going if you're trying to find a peaceful place
No,
during your surgery.
no. There is going to be no peace to be had here.
Yeah. I feel like you will draw sepsis to yourself.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
See, we connected it. We connected it.
We did. With all of your help.
Yeah. This series is going to be gross. We are going to talk about some icky shit, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yay.
So, modern cities are living testaments to humankind's defiance of nature in a way. They are fortresses that we have made out of metal and wood, concrete, blockading out the natural world. You're meant to feel safe. You're meant to feel community here. But underneath the streets of all major cities lie a mirror world of darkness, a sprawling network of interconnected tunnels and passageways where all manner of monsters could lurk. Really, as long as we have had sewers, we have had stories of the things that live in the sewers, waiting for you to step just a little bit outside the comfort of your own home. Now, according to legends, our sewers are the haven for fearsome creatures living among the filth that's down there and preying on interlopers. Vicious wild hogs attack anyone who venture underground. There are stories of gigantic rats that travel in packs of hundreds, led by a shape-shifting queen. There's stampedes of cattle thundering underneath the streets, while blind alligators are cruising the waters looking for their prey. These stories of sewer cryptids serve as a rich foundation from which to explore human engineering and the role that myths and legends play when our technology bumps up against the untamed world. So the lore, legend, and truth of sewer monsters will be the subject of our series.
Yeah, we hope that you have your hamburger helper heated up, ready to go.
Hamburger helper? I
I
haven't
don't
thought
know.
about hamburger helper
I
in a long
I was just
time.
trying to think of like what's the most gross food that you could eat while you're listening to this, and yeah.
You think hamburger helper? I think like something that's green. So like pea soup or something.
Green. I was thinking brown. Why
Brown.
green?
Yeah.
No,
I don't know.
Okay.
Because I think of green and slime. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
oh, I was just thinking of like, I don't know, 6-hour-old Wawa hot dogs.
Yeah, that's nasty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Almost as soon as humans started living in close proximity, we've needed a way to get water and get rid of our waste and our garbage. Now, the Mesopotamians built clay pipes for drainage. That's probably the earliest example of human sanitation. One also comes from Harappa, Pakistan. Houses in Harappa, they obtained water from wells and used communal drains to direct wastewater out of the area. And they also had rooms, or at least platforms, that were used for bathing. that possibly makes them the first civilization to have quote unquote bathrooms or restrooms.
Wow. Even before the Romans?
Before the Romans.
That's
yeah.
cool.
Yep. There's still remains of, they're just platforms, and we don't really know if there were walls or not. And they might have just stood there and poured water over them, but it directed the water out and away from the town.
Cool.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Now, of course, the Romans are the ones who really pushed sewers and drainage forward, though. The ancient Roman sewer was called the Cloaca Maxima, or greatest drainage. And it used a network of aqueducts, the Romans' favorite thing, aqueducts, to direct and transport fresh water into the city and remove wastewater, which was dumped into the river Tiber. For a long time throughout human history, that was what we did. It was the accepted practice. Just dump it all into a waterway and eventually it'll disappear. The tunnels of that system, the Cloaca Maxima, were massive. You could actually sail ships into them.
Holy crap, really? Holy crap, literally.
Indeed.
Oh my God. Give me a little bit of that. Did they float extra well?
I feel like that's interesting, though, because I feel like I've definitely seen in at least one action movie of people like sneaking in through the sewers, and they sail up in their little boat or whatever, and you're thinking like, okay, why is this pipe so huge? That seems convenient. Well, you don't really think about it because you're in suspended belief of the movie, but like, why is that pipe so huge? But it turns out they were. So that's good to know.
The population of Rome was pretty huge, and they needed a lot of gallons of water for their daily lives. And so they built these gigantic drainage pipes and these aqueducts. In fact, the pipes of the Cloaca Maxima are so well constructed that parts of it are still in use in Rome sewers today.
What are we doing? With our cement that breaks down after I don't know, 20 years?
Oh, yeah, just wait. We're going to talk about that in a little bit later.
Okay.
The municipal system that the Romans had that allowed their bathhouses to flourish. And so that provided potable water for drinking and cooking as well. The success of that system was so renowned that other cities in ancient Italy started constructing their own sewer systems. And you saw some of this in ancient Greece too. These tied into their local waterways like rivers or the ocean, and that got them fresh water, and it got them water for waste disposal too. And that's where our first sewer monster will make its appearance. Now this one hails from the village of Passageways, a seaside community with a thriving fishing industry. Now, according to Claudius Aeliolian, there was a storeroom in that region where merchants were storing their pickled fish for the market. And when I say storeroom, I'm talking like a room. They had an enclosed, 4 walls, a roof, a door that locked. Because, they're merchants and they don't want somebody just coming in and stealing their fish that they've caught from them, right?
And somebody couldn't be like a dog, not just a human.
Yeah,
Random stray animal.
Absolutely.
Being like, delicious, free dinner.
Now, they were using this area to clean the fish, and so their stockroom was part of the municipal water system. So they had fresh water that came in, and then they had wastewater and fish guts that got flushed out of these open floor drains and back into the sea. Initially, this was pretty high-tech, and it seemed like it would work pretty well. So they would roll up with their fish catch. They would clean them all. They would store them there. Maybe they pickle them, too, as well. Put them in clay jars and pickle them, and then take them to market. Follow along so far?
It's not very difficult, yes.
Okay.
Wait, can you go back and explain the part about the drain to me? No, I'm just kidding. Sorry, that wasn't funny.
What is fish?
Well, as Aeolian puts it, one morning, the merchants arrived and found their stock was completely destroyed. The clay pots that they were storing their fish in were smashed. Most of the pickled fish were missing. They checked the door immediately, found no signs of forced entry. Everything was in like nothing like that, and they had this entire locked room mystery on their hands. So what do you think if you show up, you see devastation inside, and you find the door is still locked? Well, they concluded that they had been robbed by their own workers.
Wasn't there access though through the tunnels, through the aqueducts?
There
into the room?
There was, but that wasn't where that wasn't what they thought.
Okay.
Because they weren't doing a series on sewer monsters.
Yeah, I was like, well, don't they have these enormous pipes that we just talked about? Yeah. Okay.
But they believe that it was their workers because, there were no signs of forced entry. To them, only someone with a key could have possibly broken in. So they made a plan, and they thought, next time we're going to trap the thieves. They brought in a new set of fish, they filled clay pots, and then they hid in the shadows of the stockroom and waited under the light of a full moon, expecting that somebody was going to unlock their door and come in. But to their surprise, it wasn't their workers at all. Under cover of darkness, a set of tentacles burst out of the sewer drains. Horrified, the men fled from the building as a massive octopus devoured their stock of fish.
Oh, wow.
This seems extremely, well, I don't know about extremely. This seems plausible to me. Like an octopi are they're really smart.
Yeah. Yeah. So this octopus found its way into the mouth of the sewer, likely following the trail of fish guts that they were flushing out to the sea every day, and made its way through and up through the drains. Knocking over chairs and tables as it went, the octopus's tentacles sought out the fish pots. Once they found the pots, it picked it up, smashed the pots to bits, and dragged the fish back into the sewer drains and into its beak.
They're so smart.
The men returned the following night armed with tools and weapons, and a great battle ensued with the merchants attacking the tentacles, hacking them to pieces, and finally chasing off the octopus after a long battle. I will say that the veracity of this story is debatable. A Roman storyteller, Aeolian, was recounting a story he had heard from a Greek fishing village, so it's at least a third-hand rendition. The whole thing feels a little bit like the guardian monster stories that you hear from workers. Like, we talked about Bigfoot and how Bigfoot was used in the Pacific Northwest by the lumberjacks as a way to kind of guard their machinery and their work and keep people away from that. This could very well be the same thing. Mm-hmm. Don't come near our fish stock because there's an octopus that guards it, right? Mm-hmm. Also, the Greeks and Romans were obsessed with the idea of symmetry. So the idea of a creature or an event breaking the natural, symmetrical, balanced order of the world is a very horrifying notion to them. In this rendition, the sewers are a parallel city underneath the main city, one that's constructed by man, but filled with who knows what, maybe aquatic monsters, right? So when things cross over and they break from the sewer into our world, that violates the lines of the light and the dark, this separation, and it throws your entire world asunder. Now, that said, octopi are really dexterous and remarkably good at stealth. In 2016, an octopus named Inky escaped from the New Zealand National Aquarium. So a worker had accidentally left the lid of Inky's enclosure open, and he crawled out, made his way across the room, and slipped out of a drain pipe.
Good for Inky. Is he okay? Did he go into the ocean?
They think so. Apparently, Inky was the size of a rugby ball. The pipe was only a couple inches in diameter, but Inky could still slip down through it.
Yeah.
Good. I'm glad. Octopi are very smart.
Yeah.
If they
Yeah.
want to get out, they can get out. And if they want to steal fish, they can steal fish. They can outsmart
It's
people.
true.
Yeah.
Yes.
And-
I saw a funny video, I don't know, a while ago about octopi like escaping fishing boats where they get pulled in nets or whatever, and they can slide out like little tiny holes. They're just like,
Yeah.
bloop.
Well,
That's awesome.
That's
Good.
because their beak is the only hard part of their body. Everything else is like compactable and squishy. So yeah, they totally can just slip out of the holes of a net, or if you have a rugby-sized octopus, that can slip into a tiny, tiny little drain.
Yeah.
I think that the idea of aqueducts and waterways was still new when this octopus story floated through Rome. And so mythologically, you can kind of see it as a cautionary tale. This concept that creating these sewer tunnels is maybe building a home for monsters. And who knows what beasts are going to end up down there if we don't know what's down there.
And the gods were very real to them. They weren't just these like the way that we have God up in heaven far away. I mean, they had gods for everything, and they had the gods of the sea. And I mean, when you connect these things together, I feel like it's so much more real to them than us, than how we think of things.
Yeah, I mean, I also think, and I don't mean this in an insulting way, just as in a factual way, like they knew less about the physical world than we do. I mean, they knew some things, but I think there were a lot of things where they were just like, I don't know how that's happening. And of course, that would make you more inclined to believe in things like gods in the way that they did, because things happen and you're just like, that seems out of nowhere and random.
I also might be more inclined to believe in a water god if I came to work one day and saw that there were fucking tentacles coming out of the sewer and thrashing around. You know?
Yep.
I think about sewers in kind of a similar fashion as the Upside Down from Stranger Things. Katie, have you watched Stranger Things?
Only like part of the first season. So,
Okay.
because I found it a little scary, and I don't like scary things, ironically. But also, well, I watched all the way through to where the girl disappears. So maybe that's the end of the first season. The girl with the glasses.
Yes. Yeah. Okay.
They're like at the pool.
Yeah.
Yes. However, part of the reason it was scary is that when I started watching it, I was staying in this Airbnb. I was visiting my friends, and the light in the bathroom would flicker when you turned it on.
Oh, wow.
Because it was just an old apartment, but
Yeah.
I was like, this is not the time.
That's great.
That is not cool.
No, it was terrifying. So anyway,
I understand that.
I've seen some of it. It was good. I've thought many times about like restarting it. But yes, sorry, go ahead. The Upside Down. I know what the Upside Down is though.
Okay.
Sort of,
Yeah.
conceptually.
Yeah, it's like this mirror world, right? Mirror
Yeah.
world kind of darkness reigns there. Monsters lurk there. And if you are unfortunate enough to drop into that world through a rift in time or through a manhole or something like that, you could be lost forever. That's kind of how the sewers have mythologically been treated throughout human history. Some of the best legends of the sewers come from Victorian England because that's where our modern sewers actually get their start. Mostly because modern England was fucking disgusting.
Yay, disgusting parts of modern England. This is really fascinating. How people
This is
used to
super
live.
fascinating.
Oh God, yeah, they lived like this.
I
Okay.
know.
All right.
Okay. So Victorian London is famous for its wealth divide, right? You have a city whose population expanded fivefold in less than a century. So we went from 1 million people there to 5.5 million people in about 100 years.
I'm reading a book called American Colonies, The Settling of North America by Alan Taylor. It's amazing. And he talks about how because of the horrible looting that the white man did in North America by, grabbing crops and importing them over to Europe, Europe was able to have this population boom because they were able to cultivate things that they never cultivated before. And
probably on a scale that wasn't possible in Europe. Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. So I know there's probably many reasons for a population boom, but that's one of them, and I'm reading about it right now, so it kind of got me thinking about it, and I just want to mention it because it's a very good book.
Oh, that's interesting. When I think about the population boom, I think about like the railways, which were allowing easier transportation and this sort of intermingling of culture, cuisine, art from outside the city and from other cities.
Oh, I was going to say, when I think about population boom, I think about the Industrial Revolution, in that people were moving to the cities to find jobs. There was this big switch in the in the 50s and 60s in the UK, like 40s too, 1840s, like 40s, 50s, and 60s, like where people were building factories and people were moving from farms and moving into the city to work. And so I feel like that was part of it too, is that people were relocating to the city. It wasn't just that like more people were born.
And one of the byproducts of the Industrial Revolution then is that you end up with a middle class. Probably for one of the first times in history, the middle class actually eclipsed the nobility in Victorian London. And so you had families and you had modest homes, and the need for industry is paramount. The families need places to live. Rental properties grew, replacing owned homes as the norm for most of the population, where all of a sudden now you have people who are renting instead of buying. And more people means more homes, more apartments. And as these tenements spring up, overcrowding becomes a serious problem. Now, one of the biggest issues when it comes to urban overcrowding is how to deal with all of their shit. Literally. London's expanding new population needed their sewer system to expand along with it, and they needed to do it fast. We all know this concept of Victorians chucking overflowing chamber pots out of their windows on some unsuspecting passerby, right? You've heard of this before.
Heard of this, yes.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Do you think that really happened? Do you think it was the norm? I'll say, do you think it was the norm to just throw your chamber pot out the window?
I don't think so.
I thought it was the norm earlier. Like, I was thinking more like the 1500s or something. In the Victorian times, no. Because they already had like indoor, even in the 1500s, I think, or later, they already had indoor toilets. And I mean, they literally were just like an outhouse, how we would call today. Like it was just going into a pipe. So right. I don't know. I say no. Okay. I'm with EJ. Yeah. I don't think it was the norm.
Yeah. So by the Victorian period, at least, you weren't just chucking your waste out the window. I found an article in Slate by Tim O'Neill who explained that concept was actually outlawed by the Middle Ages. Because no town wants shit-filled streets. And so ordinances put the building's residents in charge of their own street front. So you could be fined or you could be imprisoned if you were caught emptying your chamber pot into the street.
They already had enough shit in the streets from like animals and stuff that they couldn't help. Like, you don't want to add yours on top of that.
Right.
Yeah, it's nice to hear that the medieval times had some standards.
I know, we really think of them as just being like, whatever.
Yeah. The West in the medieval era was very, very dirty. And so I'm surprised.
But, it also, for me, is useful to realize like they were humans too. And they might have been used to a lot more filth than we are, but they still probably weren't like, yes, I would love for there just to be human shit everywhere.
Yes.
Like that seems like that seems unnatural. Like we could probably do something about this, or at least a little bit about this.
Yes.
Like
Yes, that's a great point.
If you were found littering, you could have incredibly severe punishments, including being thrown in prison. But also, sometimes if you were just caught by the residents, your punishment was even worse. So according to one account, a litterer threw the skin of a smoked fish in the street, and the locals who lived there beat him for it. No law, didn't contact the authorities, just street justice.
That's like Next Door vibes. Like that's like the old version of Next Door. Like outraged. Can you believe my neighbor did this? Like you don't know. I mean, it's a little bit faster back then. You just see it and you go for it.
and you go for it.
Not passive aggressive at all.
Matt, so you're still talking about the Middle Ages when that happened?
This is Victorian London now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So in Victorian London, they had the law too, where
Yes.
you had to keep, okay.
Yep.
You know, people talk about the past being more violent, and it was. And I'm grateful that we've moved a little bit on from that.
Mm-hmm.
However, I do think that there is something to be said for social ostracization.
Yes,
Like,
I agree.
you do a thing that's not good for all of us, and everybody's going to get mad at you. And you can't, like, go hide behind the internet to put a really fine point on it.
Yeah, there was a difference when you were doing it in front of people and people were having conversations and everything was face to face, and you actually had to deal with people face to face. It changed the dynamic quite a bit.
We all have to smell that smoked fish skin. And we're not happy about it. Don't do it.
Right.
Oh, so gross. Okay.
But so the thing is, you still need to do something with all of these people's excrement. So to combat this shitty problem, London instituted cesspits. Nicknamed gongs, these were just holes in the ground where waste was dumped. Now, more modern homes we talked about had water closets, which emptied into the local gong. Older homes may still use chamber pots, and it was your job to daily walk your chamber pot to the local gong where you could deposit your waste, or you could also just dump it straight into the River Thames. London.
Oh my God. I'm just thinking, how close was this gong? Because I'm just thinking, like, I'm assuming the chamber pots had lids. Okay, full confession, I have used a chamber pot before. My grandmother's house, when I was very little, did not have a bathroom upstairs. And so when we were little kids, it would take, but I think even my mom growing up there and stuff, it would take a long, because the bathroom was like all the way downstairs and then to the back of the house, because it was right next to my grandparents' bedroom, because of course it was, because they didn't want to have to do that.
Sure, yeah.
But like the kids all the way upstairs, you'd have to come downstairs, and the stairs were really steep. So we used the chamber pot, and then in the morning, like, you would just take it downstairs and flush it down the toilet. So that chamber pot did not have a lid on it. So I'm thinking, if your pot doesn't have a lid and you're walking in and sloshing and it has like other stuff in it, not just pee, and you're like, ooh.
Oh boy, that's rough.
There were several municipal gongs. They usually weren't that far away.
I don't know if it matters. It's still really far.
Yeah, it's still far.
Anywhere you have to transport, it's too far.
Yeah.
Do you think they had meet cutes at gongs?
New rom-com.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Like a satire rom-com about Victorian London.
Victorian
and they meet
romance
every day at
comedy.
the gong.
Oh.
I mean, I see the new Meg Ryan and Tom Hanks movie right now. I can see it
I
happening.
do too.
Yep.
So the thing about gongs is that they weren't bottomless. And if you think about it, it's really just emptying a smaller chamber pot into a larger chamber pot. eventually that cesspit is going to fill up too. Now, the generally held belief was that if you took all the human waste and you threw it into the river, that was probably the best way to get rid of it because the river would carry it out of town. But you still needed some way to get the stuff from the cesspit to the river. And this opened the door for what may have been the worst job in history, the gong farmer. These individuals were tasked with emptying the cesspits throughout London, which involved carting the excrement across town to the river and dumping it.
I love that
Carting it how? Was it in a wheelbarrow?
Yes.
Or did they have like a...
Wheelbarrow and shovels.
So I like that they called them gong farmers because that kind of makes it sound nice. Like you can see that on like LinkedIn, like gong farmer, a real go-getter rock star, willing to get up early and hit the pavement. You know, I feel like gong goblin is more appropriate. But I like that. I like that upward mobility name.
Do not have to interact with clients.
I actually sign me up.
I know.
You don't have to talk to the public at all.
Yeah, no.
In fact, people will actively avoid you.
Yeah, there is no talking to the public.
I like that. I like that.
At the end of their day, because, you know, they were covered in waste and excrement, a gong farmer would typically take a dip in the water of the River Thames.
No. Oh. I mean, where else were they supposed to go, really?
I mean, that is what you do, but yes.
Because these people were not wealthy, so I'm sure they were going back to their tiny apartment that they were sharing with a lot of other people.
Right.
There was probably not, even if there were bathtubs and showers and things, they probably did not have access to one or regular access to one.
Yes.
God, they're better off sitting under a well-watered pony.
Yeah, I can't imagine that it was that
It couldn't have been that much cleaner.
But,
right.
Yeah. Also, we're not just talking about human waste. Gongs were also trash dumps. Londoners threw old food, dead animals, just about anything into these cesspits.
Murder victims probably too.
I am sure there were. Yeah. Yeah. Historians and archaeologists will unearth these gongs from time to time and spend a lot of time digging through them because, you know, I mean, most of it's not actual waste anymore. It's been reabsorbed.
Well, it's soil.
You know, it's just soil. And you can find a lot down there. You can find artifacts and things that end up because somebody drops, you know, maybe a necklace. A lot of times like cutlery and stuff will end up in there too.
Cool.
Now, at this time, there were sewers underneath the streets of London, but and they had been around for about a century at this point, but they had been designed just to carry rainwater out of the streets and prevent the streets from flooding. There were tunnels, they were kind of rudimentary, but they weren't constructed to move vast quantities of waste. So if anyone tried to dump their waste into the sewers, they would very quickly get clogged and overflowed. And it didn't help that sometimes animals would get trapped down there too. David Castleton recounts the story of an escaped pig that ended up in the sewers. See, as far back as the 10th century, the Smithfield district was home to slaughterhouses. Now, originally, it was a large public space used for gatherings, could be meetings, ceremonies, or tournaments like jousts, anything you see at a Ren fair, right? You could also watch executions there. And Smithfield was the site of the drawing and quartering of William Wallace in 1305.
No shit.
Yes.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
Henry VIII was also fond of trying and executing both Protestants and Catholics there, depending on who he was aligned with at that time. But by the 1700s, Smithfield had become a renowned market with many people trading livestock and meat there. At some point during the 1730s, a sow escaped from a butcher before she could be killed. The butcher chased after her, but the pig escaped him and ducked into a nearby sewer opening, and the butcher lost her in the darkness of the tunnels.
Good for her.
Allegedly, this pig lived underground for 5 months, surviving on food scraps that had been thrown down into the sewer. At the time, there was a subterranean river, the River Fleet, which fed into the Thames. This underground waterway had been incorporated into the primitive London sewer system, which meant that pig had like 4 miles of underground waterway to explore. Some rumors even say that the pig was pregnant and she gave birth underground to a litter of pigs that were born in the darkness. They were raised knowing only the darkness, kind of like Bane, but easier to understand. The pigs allegedly grew up in the filth of London, feral and disgusting.
Couldn't they have escaped through the Fleet River into the Thames?
Yeah, like how?
Yeah, so whether this story is true or not is kind of unclear.
Okay.
I don't think it's unreasonable that a butcher could have lost a pig and the pig could have run into the Fleet ditch. But it seems a lot more likely that wild pigs probably came and went in the sewers. And there's not really a great reason for them to spend all of their time down there.
No, because wouldn't they figure out how to get out? Like, probably.
You would think so. And it's possible that the person who saw that pig come out of the Fleet ditch, she might have been doing that every day. And it was just the first time that somebody actually saw her do it 5 months later, you know?
Yeah.
Also, we should point out that it's a misconception that pigs are naturally dirty animals. Given their choice, they would prefer to keep themselves and their living areas clean.
Yeah, they like to be clean. And they're very smart, too.
And they're very sweet. I love little pigs.
Me too. I love them so much. I love big pigs. I love all pigs.
Do you know why?
I love
All pigs.
You know why pigs roll in mud, though?
Does it protect them? Like their skin?
Yeah. Yep. It's kind of a natural sunscreen. They also can't sweat. So they do it helps them regulate their body temperature.
Like,
They don't want to get too hot.
they can't sweat who's the guy? Prince Andrew?
Yeah.
Just like Prince Andrew.
Oh, right.
Hey, you know what? I feel like
I
comparing...
forgot that he said that. What a dum-dum.
No, I believe that. If you told me that Prince Andrew was part pig, I'd believe that.
It's impossible. Can't sweat.
God.
So I think you can see conceptually how the story of a pig in this sewer system, whether it's true or not, dovetails with this growing filth of London, though. This misconception that the dirty pig is going to make its home amongst the filth of this urban population kind of echoes their views at the time. You have poorer people, or at least middle-class people, living amongst their own excrement. Remember this pig. We'll be coming back to her a little bit later. So the thing is, having the River Thames as basically an open sewer caused some health problems. No surprise, right? One of these is cholera outbreaks. Medicine was still developing, and many people blamed, quote, miasma, or bad air, as the cause for things like cholera epidemics. So as people were getting sick, they believed that it was breathing in this noxious air, but they still continued to drink the water. In 1849, physician Dr. John Snow determined that shit-filled water was causing cholera.
Smart guy.
He did know something. His research showed that there were less cases upstream than downstream, and so water was likely the culprit. And in response, a municipality replaced their water pump and started obtaining their local water from more upstream sources, and that cured their cholera outbreak. This was one of the earliest instances of public health services, and one of the foundational moments in epidemiology. Snow's research probably should have driven Parliament to act, but it took nearly a decade until they did. Now, the real driver was an unseasonably hot summer in 1858, which caused the derelict excrement sitting in the Thames to bake in the heat. This awful season was called the Big Stink.
So I bet you could probably just see it in the Thames. Like,
Yep. Yeah.
it's gross.
And there was, so when I was reading about this, apparently there are a lot of descriptions about this in like Victorian literature, like in Dickens and things like this. And there's like a particular part because the Thames rises and ebbs. And when the tide was out, there were these like the flats, they called it. And it basically like the water would disappear and it would just be shit
Oh, God.
on the ground, like in these like marshy areas or whatever. And I was like, oh my God, that's awful.
Oh, no. I didn't know the Thames had a tidal. I didn't know it was tidal. Like, it went up and down like that. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about London.
So, Snow's research, along with the public outcry over the Big Stink, and it was very public. It was inescapable. I mean, think about it. You got 5 million people dumping their excrement into the water. That was what they were doing with it.
I read that the Parliament, because it's right next to the Thames, they had to like soak their curtains in like they soaked their curtains to try and deal with the smell because it was so gross. Hold on. I need to find it. The House of Commons at Westminster, immediately beside the Great River, could only meet if curtains soaked in chloride of lime were hung in the chamber.
Oof.
Because it was so gross. This is from a site called the victorianweb.org. So it's a whole website devoted to like Victorian culture. But
Cool.
this is an article called Charles Dickens and the Big Stink.
After Snow's research, it took them about 10 years to finally act. Finally, Parliament was prompted to institute a modern sewer system. Now, they had this sewers at the point, but what's interesting to me is that a lot of them were built as sections of the city were built, but they weren't interconnected. So you had like neighborhoods that had their own sewer system that didn't then go into the main municipal sewer system. By the mid-19th century, London had miles of disconnected, self-contained sewers. Between 1859 and 1865, those 500 miles were connected with interceptor sewers dug under London's city streets. The man in charge of this project was Joseph Bazalgette, a civil engineer and structural mastermind. He was concerned not only about future sustainability of his system, but also about its integrity. And he ordered the construction of 4 pumping stations that would remove the sewage to a reservoir that was outside of London, get it away from the Thames. The pipes were massively oversized, again, kind of based on the Roman Cloaca Maxima, way bigger than they would need for their 19th century output. But Bazalgette said, "We're only going to do this once, and there's always the unforeseen."
Yeah, and also that's very forward thinking of him because populations are rising, and I'm sure he could see that coming too.
Yeah. Better to have leftover space than not enough again.
Right.
Absolutely, right. Now, had he used smaller diameter pipes, it's speculated that London's sewer would have overflowed in the 1960s.
Ooh.
Yes.
Smart guy.
Instead, thanks to his foresight, much of his original sewer system is still in operation today.
Wow.
So where did they send it? If it not to the Thames, I'm sure it wasn't, Buckingham Palace.
Just on the lawn?
Yeah.
I don't know.
That would be great. But I mean, yeah. Was it a poor neighborhood?
I was going to say, like, he created this reservoir, but, like, is this also the beginning of like cleaning of what we know today, whereas like it goes to the sewer waste plant and then it cleans the water into gray water, and then the water gets dispersed back out into the ground or the river or whatever, because in that sense it's fine.
Yeah, so that was the idea, basically, is that they would at least attempt to clean the water before sending it back, and send it back away from the city. So just being further out from the city gave it more of an opportunity to spread out and disperse and not be so contained. You know, you're not walking next door and tossing it in the river there.
Man, give that guy an award or something. He deserves it.
His crews also shored up the walls of the older sections of the sewer. Some of these, as Peter Ackroyd noted in his book London Under, were completely decayed. He said, "The bricks were said to be as rotten as gingerbread. You could have scooped them out with a spoon." Now, from a mythological standpoint, Bazalgette was doing more than just improving this shitty situation. He was actually helping to restore this mirror world under London's feet. This came during the age of industrialization. The sewer project has this magical combination of cutting-edge engineering and defiance of nature, the same way that the Roman aqueducts did centuries before. To the average person, the average Londoner, Bazalgette is actually building this shadow version of their city underground. Given this viewpoint, I don't think it's a surprise that rumors of strange things in this newly constructed sewer started to appear. But we'll talk about them in our next episode.
Yeah.
I have a poem that I want to finish us out with.
Oh, yeah, by all means.
Yeah.
Okay, this is from Punch, which is a website.
Oh, we are going to talk about Punch next time. Yeah, go for it.
Okay, cool. Well, just to...
Great.
Yeah, this is a palate wetter. I don't know what you call it. An appetizer?
Is this poem written by Henry Mayhew?
Well, it doesn't say.
Okay.
Which is terrible. Hold on a second. We should say who wrote this. Okay, this is a longer poem, but I'm only going to read the first bit of it. And this was written by William Newman, and it's called Dirty Father Thames, written in 1848. And it begins thusly: filthy river, foul from London to the Nore, what art thou but one vast gutter, one tremendous common shore?
I love it.
And it keeps going, but amazing.
Nice.
So gross.
Nice. Yeah.
I feel like Arthur Greenleaf Holmes should make a poem about it, but make it sexual.
Yeah.
Because shore and whore rhyme really well.
Like the fucking on in the sewers of London. You could suggest that to him.
Fucking in the flats.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
When the tide goes out, my sweet princess, we will find ourselves in the muddy recesses. Ugh. Anyway.
Should suggest that to the guy at the Ren Fair.
That's,
What's
Arthur
his name?
Greenleaf Holmes. Yeah. That's who I mean.
Sorry.
Yeah.
That's who you meant.
Anyone who doesn't know Arthur Greenleaf Holmes, he is a traveling Ren Fair performer, and he does, how does he actually phrase it?
Wildly inappropriate.
Yes, wildly inappropriate poetry.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Yeah. In fact, I think he says that he does poetry of the gutters. So that would be very appropriate for him.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we will say for our listeners, he is not lying.
Yeah.
It is wildly inappropriate.
Yeah.
Yes.
But it's extremely clever and fun.
Yeah. Yeah, he's awesome.
But so thank you for coming along on this disgusting sewer journey with us. And next time we are going to get even deeper into the London sewer system.
Yeah, don't worry. Don't cry. There will be much more poop on the way. Much more.
But I want to encourage all of our listeners to just really appreciate your bathroom today. Mm-hmm. Just appreciate how it just disappears and we don't think about it. Because there was a time in human history where you really, really needed to think about it.
So today, folks, give your toilet a hug. Give it a big old kiss. Say thank you, toilet. And then if somebody says, "What are you doing?" you say, "Get out. I'm having a moment with my toilet." And they'll understand. They'll understand if they've listened to this episode.
Wonderful. Well, thank you all so much for joining us this week. If you're feeling generous, head over to slayingmonsterspodcast.com, click on the support us button at the top of the page, and leave us a tip. Or check out our merch there. And until next time, be safe out there.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to Slaying Monsters, the 40 in History podcast. If you like the podcast, there's a couple ways you can show your support. You can tell your friends, you can leave us a rating and review on your podcast platform, or you can head over to slayingmonsterspodcast.com and click on the Support Us button to leave a donation. For questions, suggestions, and other feedback, reach out to us, slayingmonsterspodcast@gmail.com, and stay up to date by following us on socials at Slaying Monsters Podcast. Your support helps us grow, and we are truly grateful to have our listeners and community.